Hey guys, last week we made a video talking about whether or not we should restore cars or just buy a good one. And I realized we didn't really discuss what a good car was and how you might spot one and different types of good cars and good projects. So I thought today we'll have a quick look at what I think are some good cars. And this is not to show off, this is just years of buying bad cars and being finally able to tell the difference. Let's have a look at a couple what I think are good cars and explain why. Personally, I think the ultimate good car is a nice, untouched, original car with original paint and in good condition. This is a 1959 Plymouth Fury, original paint, very few owners, the proverbial little old lady car. This is not a perfect car by any means, but this to me is at the top of the cars you should consider buying if you're looking for a nice collector car. The only real way, especially if you're buying it over the phone or over the internet, the only real way you're going to be sure that you're getting a really decent car is original paint. That is the only way of knowing that nobody's ever messed with it. And a lot of people can't tell original paint from a repaint or whatever. And we'll do a whole separate video on how to spot original paint, but you guys will have to take my word on this one. This is original paint. It's a beautiful car. I could not believe it. You can see there's no tape lines, there's no damage. The car is not perfect by any means. 55,000 miles, so low mileage, but it's not like it's got 6 miles on it. It's not a brand new car, but it is a very, very nice, completely rust-free, untouched, unwelded, uncrashed car. So I would say at the very top of the ladder, beautiful original car. Next down the list would be lovely original cars with some major mechanical malfunction that makes them very viable projects with a moderate amount of work. And in this case we have a 1937 Chevy two-door town sedan, they call this. Beautiful original car, very low miles, but the engine was broken. The engine had suffered a head gasket failure and one of the cylinders was filled up with antifreeze, and the car sat like that for 30 something years. So the engine needed to be sleeved and completely torn down and redone, and the head planed and valves done and blah blah. So pretty much a full rebuild on the engine, but when you're done, basically turn the key and go. The welder has not come near this car. Obviously paid a lot more for this than a field car, but here we have a very nice original paint. The paint's weathered, but still I would never repaint a car like this. Original paint is, to me, the ultimate. So original paint, also original interior. I have it covered up with blankets because of the dog, but it is an exceptional untouched car, and all of this is a massive amount of work to restore, and in this car you don't have to do any of it. Drives beautifully, runs beautifully. Took me a winter to redo the engine and brakes and whatever. So still going to do engine, brakes, exhaust, some glass. It needed work, but not a life-ruining nightmare by any means. A car that I can be very confident in that it will go anywhere, and still could use some cosmetics, but does not diminish my enjoyment of the car anyway. So there we have two nice original cars. Next on the list, if you're looking for what is a good car, would be a fully restored, properly done car. I don't have any of those, but here's something that's close. This is a 1960 Plymouth Fury. So this car really needs nothing. It's fully roadworthy. Everything's been done, and the glass is good. The interior is new. It is a completely usable car. This is not a concours car. It has small flaws, and that's fine. But this would be something that I think we could call a very presentable restoration. Panel fit is excellent, and the weather stripping's done, and the tires are new, exhaust is new. Completely roadworthy car and ready to enjoy. So that would be up there. But of course, I did this car, so I know that the welding is decent and everything else. So, but if I were somebody coming to look at this car, I would have to be extremely skeptical. And that's your number one tip when you're looking at a restored car. Assume it's garbage until proven otherwise. And here's an example of one that I bought that looked restored, and it is actually just a massive project in disguise. At first glance, it might look like a restored car, right? It's kind of shiny. The interior seems very presentable. Looks like what we would call a good one, but is in fact a major project. I kind of knew that taking this on. The reason I bought this car was not the condition, just rather the scarcity of these cars, at least in this part of the world. Citroën Traction Avant, not a particularly common car in Western Canada. So I was ready for it to be less than perfect, which it certainly is. Right, so if we want to immediately see that you're not looking at a good car, the caulking around the windows, well, that's supposed to fold out. The wipers are terrible. The paint job is extremely amateur, to the point where they've sanded the glass. That is just a disaster. There's rust coming through here and some very sub-optimum repairs. And so this isn't even the worst. I think the other side's worse, but it's against the wall. Like, what's going on there? That ain't gonna be good. See here? I mean, if somebody's sanding the windows, they do not care. So this is not what I mean when I say buy a good one. Just because it looks like a good one doesn't mean that it is. This is a major project, and a very poor amateur old restoration. And the term restoration, of course, very overused. So if you were shopping for restored cars, this would be a runaway kind of situation. This car is so far from being roadworthy, not even counting the blown head gasket and the gigantic amount of mechanical work that it needs. So yes, be very careful of huge projects masquerading as restored or almost restored cars. Same would go for unfinished projects, which we can make a whole other series on. Another nice example of a largely original car here needing minimal work. Bond's 73 Plymouth Satellite. Lovely car, in and out of the shop in a week and on the road, ready to enjoy. Project cars also come in multiple grades of horrible. Let's have a look at a couple of project cars and maybe point out a few differences that make one project simple and another one a real life-ruining nightmare. So we've discussed what to look for when looking for a good car, and you can also have a good project. So let's have a look at what might make a good project car versus a project car that will ruin your life. And here we have 1951 Kaiser Special, ignoring for a minute that it's not a desirable car. That also is a whole other subject. It's still a major project, but not a life-ruining one. Terrific thing about this car is there will be no surprises because it is all original paint. A project car with original paint is a much safer bet than a project car that has been painted multiple times. We've got some rust here, and I don't know, there's lots of parts of the world where that would be considered a major rust problem, but for Western Canada, that's considered, I think, pretty good. The car is complete. It needs everything, right? The upholstery is shot, but you can see in there, despite the ugly appearance of it, the floor is solid, the rocker panels are solid. So despite this car looking like a total disaster, it's actually pretty reasonable condition. The big thing with project cars, again, rust. This car is not too rusty. It's not crashed. It's a pretty decent car. Here's a car that at first glance looks like a fun project, but this one would be a life ruiner. You can see, so right there, you can see that there's literally chunks of rebar welded to the frame and stuff. So like, this car has been in a serious crash and very badly repaired to the standards of probably 1952. Just an automatic disqualification for a car that you can buy a pretty decent example of, ignoring, and of course the rest of its just rubbish as well, right? You know, and to see them beside each other, you'd think, well, either one of them is a very viable project, but in fact, it only takes a few seconds to completely disqualify this car. Not worth doing. There's also another category of really terrible cars that are rare. You know, this car, again, crazy old accident damage repair here. Very rare car, but a very poor example and very rusty. So will it get restored? Stay tuned. And so you might say, well, if you know so much about what cars are worth restoring and which ones aren't, then why don't you take your own advice and just buy good cars? And that's a totally fair and legitimate question. But the answer is, I genuinely enjoy the process, and I like having the car when it's finished. I know every piece of that car, and I know to what standard each system was redone, and you know, and I also only pick cars that I really want. Others might feel differently. That's totally fine. Pick a car that you really want. That still applies at any level. Even really old cars can be found in reasonable condition, like this Model T. Definitely have more time and money into this than I could get for it, but not a life-ruining nightmare. This was a very savable car, and one that I'm absolutely delighted with every time I get to use it. Okay, well, there we go. Hopefully some food for thought for you guys. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Maybe next week we'll talk about beaters and why beaters are great, and what is a realistic plan when approaching a project that you do not want to take to a full restoration, but you still want to have something pretty fun and enjoyable. Anyway, thanks again so much for watching. Talk to you soon. Of course, if all else fails, you could just make your own car from scratch. And if you want to stop in on Saturday, we'll be firing up this monstrosity. This is a regular contributor.
Same old shit.